Good morning. Welcome to my office today. Today, our message is about winterizing, winterproofing. It's amazing when the winter comes along, we think about all the things. We think about our vehicles, we think about our bodies, we think about our house. But what do we do to winterize our relationships? So I went and thought about it. For our vehicle, we winterize it because we don't want it to leave us stranded. Our bodies, we winterize it because we don't want to be sick. Our house, we winterize it because we don't want it to be cold or because we don't want our utility bills to increase. However, we don't put the same effort into our relationships to make sure it is strong enough to withstand the winter. So today, I wanted to just take a moment and then talk about some methods that we winterize, these other things that we could put that same effort and energy into winterizing our relationships so they can make it through the cold and still thrive and still grow. A lot of the verbiage we use nowadays is we want to survive, but we want to be more than survivors. We want to be victorious. We want to thrive, and we want to keep growing, doing every season that God has us in. Sometimes the growth is not seen on top of the dirt, but for it to grow, it has to be a seed that is planted and something is still occurring under the dirt, even in the winter. So no matter how much snow or matter whatever we're covered in, God has still got some growth in us. So we're doing better than surviving. We're still thriving and we're still growing. So those are the things that I want to make sure we implement today in your relationship, a thriving relationship, because the goal here with marriage maintenance is always to go from good to best. So always trying to get your best relationship. That's something we're constantly working on every day. So jumping back up into winterizing and winterproofing these things. And I say it as a vehicle, what we do, because we don't want to leave us stranded, we top off the fluids in our vehicle. So we make sure that everything is on tip-top shape condition. Make sure everything is balanced. Make sure everything is going smooth before the winter comes in. The same thing we need to do with our relationship. We need to have a point in our relationship where we go in and check to make sure everything is good before things become frigid. If you all are people who really love your vehicles and want to make sure it runs, and if you don't have a garage or you don't have a carport to put it on, I've seen people where they go out and lay blankets on their vehicle, on the engine, to make sure the engine stays warm, to make sure it doesn't freeze over, to make sure that it has no difficulty starting. Plus, they lay that blanket over that windshield to make sure it doesn't crack, to make sure they don't have to put that extra effort in of taking ice off in the morning to do a defrost. So in your relationship, you need to make sure that you have that same type of covering in place, that you lay that extra warmth, that extra prayer, that extra effort into making sure that your mate is covered. A lot of times we let our spouses go out into this world naked. We have not prayed for them. We have not covered them. And during that wintertime, they need that extra blanket. They might be extra stressed. They might be extra whatever it is that's going on and burden in the relationship right now. And it's not necessarily you. It's a phase that your relationship is going through because their job might be more demanding at this time. The pressures or the transition of your financial state might be more pressing at this time. So they need more covering, more prayer from you, more understanding, more love, more warmth to make sure it's easier to start that engine block up, so you don't lose the heat in your relationship, to keep that vehicle on a forward movement in the journey. Okay, so we got the concept of the vehicle. So we don't want to be stranded because you don't want your relationship to leave you stranded, so you won't be left out in the cold. And it's a horrible thing to be in a relationship but still feel like you are alone in a cold place. So don't allow this to happen to you. Next, our bodies. We don't want it to be sick and riddled with disease. So what we do, again, the key point is we cover it. We put on more clothing. We go up to our necks. We put on turtlenecks. We change the type of clothing that we wear to fit into the season that we're in. So we need to understand the season that we're in when we're relating to our spouse. What type of clothing do we have? And that does not mean your outer clothing. It means your spiritual clothing. When you're putting on the full armor of God, you have to understand what tools do you need to use within this relationship. How is it that you need to deal with your spouse? Because what worked in the summer will not work in the winter, because they need to feel a little bit more warm. They need to feel a little more close to you. They need to feel that additional love and kindness that needs to be there so that the cold doesn't slip in. So you think about your house. When you do, well, we're talking about a body. We think about a body. We do things like we take echinacea to prevent from getting all of these T's. We take vitamin C. So you need to inject your relationship with some vitamin C, some preventive maintenance. So that means the tender loving and care needs to occur before your relationship becomes sick. You need to get in an environment where you can receive wise counsel to take you to the next level. You might need to get in coaching. You might need to get in counseling. Whatever it takes to get your relationship healthy, do it prior to getting so sick. Yes, there are things that cannot be prevented, but preventive maintenance is the key to many issues in our relationship. You need to prepare for the winter in your relationship when everything is not good all the time. Now, jump into the house. What we do in our homes, because we care about our money. Yes, we do. So we don't want our utilities to go up, and we don't want our heat to be seeping out. So we go through and we make sure the windows are extra sealed. We make sure there are no cracks. We make sure everything gets sealed up really tight. We even have an assessment of our utility bills to make sure that our Georgia power is sufficient. That means we get a health checkup of our house to make sure everything is running correctly. Those are the same things that you need to apply to make sure that you're having a healthy relationship. You need to make sure that you've addressed the issues and not just let topics go. You need to make sure you've had a full discussion and reached a resolution to close up those cracks in your relationship. We allow things to go too long that cause openings for the cold to come in and steal the warmth out of our relationship. And what that means is eventually it's going to be a high price to pay, whether it is emotionally, time-wise, to get back to that level of trust and intimacy where you stay warm during the winter. Do not allow yourself to have cold winters. You will have a winter season in your relationship, but do not allow yourself to have a cold winter. Allow yourself to have already prepared and winterize and winterproof your relationship so your mate is not depending on outside sources to help them stay warm and appreciated in an environment. That is the message today from the Master Relationship Mechanic, Courtney. So make sure that you prepare your relationship for the winter. Look for you later.